Hi everyone, I'm Raquel Oberkirsch. I'm a white settler educator living on Treaty 4 territory, the traditional territory of the Cree or Nehiyawak, the Saulteaux or Nakaway, Nakota, Dakota, Lakota, and the Métis Nation. My ancestors are from East Galicia, Belgium, France, and Ireland, and I grew up at Katepwa Lake, which is very close to Fort Qu'Appelle, where Treaty 4 was signed.
And I'm Curtis Barassa. I'm also a white settler educator working as an instructional coach for Southeast Cornerstone Public School Division, which has schools on both Treaty 2 and Treaty 4 territories. We think it's really important to explore our shared treaty history in Saskatchewan and learn about ourselves as treaty partners, neighbors, and relatives.
So we're here today recording this Minecraft student activity for the 2021 Treaty 4 gathering. This year, the theme of the gathering is sharing our gifts. And lucky for you, one of Curtis's gifts is knowing a lot about Minecraft and how to use it for learning.
Raquel and I created a build challenge for you to complete in Minecraft Education Edition. You can work on this challenge individually, with a partner, or in small groups.
So your challenge is to build the treaty map of Saskatchewan and one treaty symbol. You can see some examples on the front of the build challenge card for what this might look like.
This is a treaty map of Saskatchewan. It shows treaties in Saskatchewan. Treaty 2, Treaty 4, Treaty 6, Treaty 8, Treaty 10, and Treaty 5.
Hey, that's a good way to remember it. It's like you're skip counting by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then Treaty 5 because you're holding up 5 fingers by the end.
And this here is a more simplified version of the Saskatchewan treaty map that you can use when you are building. You should label your map and try to come up with a creative way to feature Treaty 4 territory.
In this video, we'll go through a short presentation of 6 different treaty symbols. You will choose one treaty symbol to build along with your treaty map for this challenge.
You will explain your build using boards and/or NPCs. Those are non-player characters. To add NPCs, you will need to turn on World Builder mode using the command \WB.
Using a board or an NPC's dialogue, you should tell us a little bit about what you built and why. You should also explain the meaning behind the treaty symbol that you chose to build.
Once you finish, take screenshots and share your build to #Treaty4Gathering.
We can't wait to see your creations! All right, now we will go through a short presentation to introduce you to 6 different treaty symbols. You will be choosing one to build in Minecraft, so start thinking of building possibilities as we explore the symbols and discuss the meanings behind them. Hey Curtis, do you know what any of these symbols represent?
Hey, those two are Saskatchewan. That's the coat of arms and the Saskatchewan flag. Then this looks like Canadian symbols. And the last one, is it peace?
Nailed it! Symbols are important because they identify who you are and they can give you a sense of identity and communicate important values.
So what kind of treaty symbols were used during treaty making in Saskatchewan?
Well, they were symbols that had significance to each group and embodied their cultures. The First Nations used the pipe stem, the handshake, and sun, grass, and water. The British Crown used flags, treaty medals, and treaty suits. The symbols used at the time of the treaty continue to be used today in First Nations ceremonies and gatherings.
Okay, let's start with the pipe stem.
Okay, well, to get a full meaning of the pipe stem, we would need some help from an elder. So I'm just going to share a tiny little bit of the significance of the pipe stem. Elder Alma Kitwe-Het said the term comes from pipe, meaning fate, and stem, meaning honesty. So when someone smokes the pipe in a pipe ceremony, it means they are making a promise to a solemn covenant and that they must speak the ultimate truth.
So it's kind of like a pinky swear, or like taking an oath?
Sort of, but a lot more serious and spiritual than that. The Nehiyawak, Nakaway, and the Nakota nations conducted pipe ceremonies in the negotiations and signing of treaties 2, 4, 5, and 6. The use of the pipe in treaty making made the treaties sacred to First Nations people because the Creator was witness to the treaties. It confirmed the commitments of both the Crown and the First Nations.
On to the handshake. Is that Alexander Morris? Wasn't he a treaty commissioner, like someone who negotiated with the First Nations about the treaties?
You bet. And after treaties 3, 4, 5, and 6 were signed by the treaty signatories, he extended a handshake and gave a little heartfelt speech. The First Nations leaders accepted his handshake, and the handshake symbolized the friendship and brother-to-brother approach to finalizing the terms of treaty. The handshake also symbolized that this was a relationship of mutual respect.
Sun, grass, water? That reminds me of the special connection First Nations people had with nature and the land.
For sure. Elder Thelma Musqueam said that the sun, grass, and water were used because everything in nature is sacred.
As long as the sun shines, the grass grows, and the river flows. I've heard that saying before. What does it mean?
Well, Elder Musqueam said it means that the treaties are to last that long, so forever.
There are a lot of ways to build sun, grass, and water in Minecraft. So if you choose that symbol, be creative.
Next up is the flags. We are looking at the British flag, also called the Union Jack, and the Treaty 4 flag. At the time of treaty negotiations in Saskatchewan, the Queen of Britain had representatives known as lieutenant governors who would assist treaty commissioners in negotiating with the First Nations peoples.
So the Union Jack flag is a symbolic reminder of the treaties because they were signed under the British flag, which was used by the British Crown?
Exactly. And the Union Jack flag incorporates the national symbols of 3 distinct countries, England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland.
Oh, the Treaty 4 flag. I like how it shows the year Treaty 4 was signed, 1874. It has sun, grass, and water symbols on it.
Yes, it was designed by the late Gordon Oakes. The saying that goes along with the flag is, "For as long as the sun shines, grass grows, waters flow, and buffalo are on the prairies." The buffalo represents the education aspect of the treaty promises, meaning Indigenous peoples are to receive and benefit from a Western education, but are also to continue with the cultural and spiritual education of their ancestors.
That's awesome. So what about these treaty medals? They were given to chiefs when they signed the treaty, right? I haven't seen these two before. Just the one with the handshake.
That's right. The small medal with oak leaves was offered in treaty negotiations in 1871, but it was rejected by chiefs who judged it inadequate for treaty making. Then the larger medal in the center was based on Canada's Confederation medal, and it was initially well received until the chiefs realized it was only silver plated and not pure. So then the chiefs rejected it when the silver began to wear off. Finally, in 1873, the commissioner presented the now famous handshake medal, and this one was pure silver in the top right here, and this one was used until Queen Victoria's death in 1901.
Interesting. So what does the treaty medal symbolize?
Well, they would stamp the medal with the number of the treaty, so at the top there, and the year it was signed at the bottom. So it represented the specific treaty and also the alliance that was made between First Nations and the British Crown, or now the Canadian government.
Oh, wow. I never noticed all the stuff in the background of the medal before.
Yeah, and there's even more symbolism to it. Elder Alma Kitwehat explains that the medal is a circle that represents a coming together of 2 nations. The one person on this medal represents the Crown, while the other person represents the First Nations. They're not only shaking hands, but holding hands to show that they're making a promise to each other. The hatchet buried on the ground between their feet acknowledges that treaties are about peace and living together in harmony. The symbols of creation are represented by water, sun, and the grass where the teepees stand. The many teepees in the background represent many different First Nations. Both men are standing on equal ground, each respecting each other. And the medal is heavy, which represents a heavy responsibility to each other to fulfill the promises that were made.
And last but not least, the treaty suits. The Crown gave those suits of clothing to the chiefs, right?
Yes, to the First Nations chiefs and headmen. These suits were worn in most chief and council meetings up until the 1960s. The treaty suits symbolize the solidarity of the two nations, united by a brother-to-brother approach to building a better relationship for the people of Canada. It was also a way for the Crown to recognize First Nations leadership and their right to govern their own people.
Okay, let's recap. We looked at the pipe stem, the handshake, sun, grass, water, flags, treaty medals, and treaty suits.
So remember, your challenge is to build one of these treaty symbols to go along with your treaty map of Saskatchewan in Minecraft.
If you build the flags, you need to build the British flag, also called the Union Jack, and the Treaty 4 flag.
Have fun building, and don't forget to share your creations to #Treaty4Gathering.
Thanks for watching.